Don't lie, beggar.
I had reached my limit with her repeated rude behavior, so I made a phone call in front of the bank teller.
Hey, just go home once you've got what you need.
I could sense the teller displayed agitation at the word in the phone conversation, and I firmly conveyed my message after taking a deep breath. Is the branch manager there? I want to close a corporate account with $700 million right now. My name is Ava. I got an age commonly referred to as elderly. I think the area I lived through was tumultuous. The development of technology was remarkable, and I vividly remember seeing color television for the first time. There was also a historic inflation due to the oil shock. I, who was already a working adult, was one of those who were greatly influenced. In the midst of these all, I met Edward through a friend's introduction. We were immediately drawn to each other and got married. After marriage, Edward suffered a serious injury, and keeping the company afloat became our main focus, so our newlywed life was far from just being enjoyable. Despite such a life, we were blessed with 3 children, and I have led a happy life. One of the things that became more convenient with the changing times was the field of digital technology, such as electronic appliances and the internet. Until around the age of 40, I managed to keep up with the latest devices somehow and was attracted to new things. After passing my mid-40s, I gave up trying to keep pace with advancements. I still use a flip phone referred to as a clamshell, and while I'm interested in the world of the internet, I'm too afraid of being deceived to buy or apply for anything myself. I'm what you'd call digitally challenged. My children sometimes say it's inconvenient, but when I want to buy something, I can just go to the store and confirm the actual product, which gives me peace of mind. The same goes for applying for something or going through procedures. Pressing buttons on a screen to complete something is just too unsettling for me. It may be cheap and easy, but I feel more at ease asking someone in person. Since my youngest child entered college, I, a full-time homemaker, have found myself with too much time on my hands. Edward's work was going well, and there were things I could help with, but he encouraged me to pursue what I wanted to do. So I started participating in volunteer activities that interested me. I was interested in. There are various types of volunteer activities, such as cleaning activities, guiding at educational facilities, neighborhood watch, and family support that leverages parenting experience. There were so many options to choose from that I was undecided on what to do. After much consideration, I decided to start by participating in local cleaning activities. We gather early in the morning and pick up trash together. Engaging in activities where I greeted students heading to school or office workers heading to the station in the morning suited my nature well. I started participating regularly. By participating regularly, I became acquainted with my fellow volunteers, and the students and company employees I greeted also became memorable. Some left a positive impression by greeting me loudly, others did the opposite. One of the most notable ones was a woman I always encountered in the same place. She would always sit on a bench at the place where we were cleaning, eating breakfast she bought from a nearby cafe. When I first saw her, sitting on a bench with her glossy black hair tied back and wearing light makeup, she looked lovely to me. "Good morning." I greeted her as I passed by, but she didn't respond. It wasn't unusual for people not to respond, so I tried to ignore it, but something rolled to my feet as I walked past. I stopped to pick it up, and it was a paper cup that was still faintly warm. Inside was coffee, and some of the black liquid had splashed onto my shoes. I realized it was the cup the woman had been holding and turned back to her. She was aiming her smartphone camera at my feet, chuckling. Why did you throw this at me? My shoes are dirty now." It wasn't like she had accidentally dropped it. It seemed she had deliberately aimed and thrown it at me.
Well, aren't you like a trash can? You're carrying a garbage bag. Trash bags are meant to get dirty with garbage. Why are you so upset?
I couldn't believe what the woman was saying. Who taught her that it was okay to throw garbage at someone acting as a trash can? If you wanted to throw your trash away, you should have asked and handed it to me. Being thrown at makes me feel terrible.
Never thought about trash can feelings.
As Sadie said that, she stood up from the bench and threw the trash she had in her hand at me again. The trash rolled onto the road without reaching me, but I felt anger boiling up towards the woman. "I told you not to throw it."
The trash can got mad.
She laughed and headed towards the station, disappearing into the crowd. That's how I met Sadie. On the next day of the cleaning activity, and the next time after that, she was there, always throwing garbage at me when I passed by. I would always tell her to stop, but she wouldn't listen. I even went near her with an open garbage bag to prevent her from throwing, but she ended up throwing it at other volunteers. Fortunately, the trash didn't reach them, so there was no mess. But as she passed by me, expressing frustration for not reaching it and urging to pick it up, my anger certainly swelled. After the cleaning activity that day, I warned the volunteers not to approach her. After that, she started scattering garbage around the bench, and it became my job to pick up the trash at the end of the cleaning activity. After days like that, I decided to ask my volunteer friends what other activities they were participating in. Kate, a woman I became friends with during the cleaning activities, invited me to run a soup kitchen for the homeless. I agreed without hesitation. The soup kitchen was held at Rose Park, near the adjacent station. I was advised to wear clothes that I wouldn't mind throwing away because they might get dirty, so I pulled out some old clothes that I might never wear again and headed to the park. The soup kitchen provided free meals to so-called homeless people and those in need in the neighborhood. Everyone who came was served, and as long as there was food, it was distributed to anyone. Most of the people who came were dressed in attire that suggested they were homeless, but there were also people wearing suits and even families. Among those people, I found a familiar face. Could you be Matilda?
Could it be Ava?
She was a former colleague from the first company I worked for, and it had been about 30 years since I last saw her. Meeting her in such a place brought me joy, but I also felt perplexed by the fact that she was struggling in life. It seemed like my feelings were reflected on my face because she greeted our reunion with a troubled, lonely expression. After finishing my volunteer work, we decided to meet again. That's because there was anything I could do to help for her. And while I was talking with her after finishing the volunteer work, my cell phone rang. It was Edward, my husband.
Where are you now? Can you go to the bank?
Edward sounded rushed. I'm at Rose Park right now. What's wrong?
That's perfect. I need your help with processing employee payroll. I'm coming with the necessary documents, so please wait there.
With that, he hung up. I checked the date and saw that it was the 24th today, and past 1 p.m. Edward's company's payday is on the 25th, so if we don't complete the procedures by 3 p.m. today, the transfer won't be made in time for tomorrow. I hadn't finished talking with Matilda yet, so I decided to take her up on her offer to accompany me to the bank until Edward arrived. 10 minutes after hanging up the phone, Edward arrived at the park, handed me the necessary items for the bank transfer, such as a passbook, expressed gratitude and apology, and then left. Edward seemed very busy today. I had helped with the payroll transfers before when there weren't enough hands. Back then, the bank was crowded with people preparing transfer forms for each account, withdrawing cash for those who wanted it handed over in person, and just going to the bank could take half a day. Then ATMs evolved, and the number of people lining up at the counters decreased. Nowadays, it's mostly done through internet transfers. Even the number of ATMs outside of convenience stores has decreased. It seemed that Edward's company also wanted to adopt internet transfers, but like me, Edward felt resistance to doing something so casually over the internet. So he still goes to the bank himself to handle payroll and payments to clients. There were 20 transfers in total. Matilda and I hurried to the bank. By the time we arrived at the bank, we were sweating, but as I was about to wipe off the sweat with a handkerchief and go through the automatic doors, a woman came out from inside and spoke to me.
How may I help you today?
It had been a while since I last came to the bank, so I thought it was just right that the guide approached me to confirm how to transfer the money, but I froze when I saw the woman's face. The reason is simple. It was the woman who throws garbage at me during the cleaning activities. Her name tag said Sadie. Sadie seemed to recognize me when she looked at my face. She glanced around, seemingly conscious of others' eyes, and then, in a volume only audible to me, she asked me for a reason to come. I looked around to see if there was anyone else, but it seemed like she was the only guide today, and there were no bank employees outside the counter. I thought I had no time to spare, and explained that I came here for the employee's payroll deposit. I expected her to guide me promptly since she was also working, but she gave me a smirk and looked me up and down as if mocking me, then called me a liar. It's not a lie. Can you please show me how to proceed since I'm short on time? I tried to contain my anger and act modestly, but Sadie showed no signs of moving away from me. She was blocking my path, preventing me from going inside.
Aren't you homeless? I saw you at Rose Park's soup kitchen during lunch break.
It seems that Sadie misunderstood my appearance and thought I was there to receive, not to give at the soup kitchen. Certainly, my attire today is nothing to brag about, so I can't blame her for calling it shabby. It's a misunderstanding. I was just there to assist with the soup kitchen.
No need to pretend. Trash cans should just stay in the park where they belong. Oh, from tomorrow, I'll give you canned coffee in the morning. You like collecting empty cans, don't you? It seems to make money.
Sadie nodded along as she said that, looking somewhat amused. Seeing her like that, I took out my cell phone.
Oh, still using a flip phone. Did you fish it out of the trash?
Sadie laughed as she said that, but I made the call without paying her any mind. The person on the other end was Edward. Considering how busy he seemed earlier, he might not pick up, and if that happened, what should I do? With those farts in mind, I looked towards Sadie. She also noticed my gaze, and perhaps feeling uncomfortable under it, her smirk vanished, and instead, she leaned in closer to me, looking menacing.
You think you can fool me by pretending to make a call? Give up the act already and get lost, you pauper.
Before she could finish, the call connected to Edward.
What's wrong?
Sorry for my abruptness, but can we cancel the corporate account at this bank?
Huh? Why all of a sudden? We need to transfer the payroll soon.
It's no wonder Edward would be shocked to hear about canceling the account. I knew that, but I couldn't take it anymore. I'll explain later. I think it's better not to keep our money in this bank. Perhaps sensing the urgency in my voice, Edward seemed to ponder for a moment before granting me permission to proceed as I wished. Thank you. I said that and hung up the phone. Sadie seemed a little shocked when she heard the words corporate account cancellation from me.
Hey, once you've got what you need, just go home.
From Sadie's tone, I could tell she was feeling less confident than before. Now it was my turn to blame her. I walked up to Sadie confidently, and she took a step back. Then the automatic door responded to her movement and opened. Sadie showed signs of concern about what was behind her, but I took a deep breath, making sure my voice could be heard inside the bank, and said firmly, "Is the branch manager there? I want to close a corporate account with $700 million right now." The bank employees who were busy near closing time all turned to us and stopped what they were doing. Then one man hurried over to us. Apparently, this man was the branch manager.
Madam, what can I do for you? Did this employee offend you?
The branch manager, who didn't understand the situation, looked alternately at me and Sadie, clearly puzzled. As I just said, please cancel the corporate account right away.
Even if you say right now, what's the name of the corporate client?
The branch manager's forehead was beaded with sweat. I boldly replied, "Denali Corporation. My husband Edward is the president of that company."
Denali Corporation, one of the top companies among our clients. You, the president's wife? Don't make me laugh. There's no need to pile on lies.
If you can't believe it, then think that way.
But you're always dressed shabbily, and today, you were even participating in a soup kitchen, weren't you?
Sadie was desperately trying to prove her legitimacy. I only wear clothes that I don't mind getting dirty for activities like cleaning or today. It's because of people like you that I have to dress like this. Judging someone based on their appearance alone is a big mistake.
You're the one dressing confusingly.
You should just shut up already.
The branch manager shouted loudly, finally shutting Sadie up.
Madam, I sincerely apologize for the rudeness of our employee. I'm truly sorry.
Saying that, the branch manager bowed deeply.
Ava, what happened?
When I turned at the sound of the voice, there was Edward. Despite having work, he seemed worried and rushed over. I told you before, right, about the person who throws garbage during the cleaning activities.
Oh, when your shoes got dirty from the coffee.
That's the one, and she tried to turn away a poor person like me who came for the payroll. Hearing my words, the branch manager paled visibly.
Sadie, did you really do something like that?
The branch manager approached Sadie.
Who would think someone dressed like that has money?
What have you done? I'll report this to higher-ups. Prepare yourself for the consequences.
Wait a minute. The one at fault is this person dressed confusingly. I didn't do anything wrong.
Sadie seemed to genuinely believe she was innocent. Admittedly, my attire may have been shabby and confusing. However, it's unacceptable to turn away and judge someone as a liar just based on their appearance. You shouldn't judge people by their looks.
But.
My words made Sadie slump down, tears streaming down her face. Then, the branch manager turned back to us.
Please leave handling the aftermath of the employee to us. We'll thoroughly educate to prevent such incidents in the future. Can't you reconsider canceling the account?
The branch manager bent his waist so deeply that it seemed like his head would touch his knees as he apologized. However, my determination didn't waver. No, I've had enough. I want to cancel the corporate account right away.
So, would you consider coming back another day for the necessary procedures, such as your seal and passbook?
I've prepared everything I need. Please proceed with the procedure right away.
The branch manager seemed to have given up on Edward's words and went inside to prepare the paperwork. I thought the procedure would be over after that, but there was still more to this story. When I glanced at Sadie, who was still sitting there unable to move, and tried to go inside, I saw a police officer outside the bank. Matilda was with him. Come to think of it, Matilda, who was supposed to be with us, had disappeared at some point. Matilda walked straight to Asami with the police officer and said, pointing at her,
This is the person. She's always throwing garbage at us.
Sadie's face turned pale at the sight of the police officer.
I'd like to talk to you.
Huh? I don't have anything to say.
Sadie pleaded while shaking her head and hands vigorously.
Don't lie. You always throw garbage at homeless people and those who come to the soup kitchen.
That's not me. Probably.
Matilda pointed her smartphone at the denying Sadie.
Look at this. Finally caught your face on camera. No mistaking it's you, right? If you insist it's a look-alike, bring that person here.
The screen clearly showed Sadie gleefully throwing garbage. There was no way to deny it. Sadie glanced at the screen briefly, then looked away and hung her head, seemingly admitting that it was indeed her.
Someone got injured from the garbage you threw last time. This has turned into a serious assault case.
What? It wasn't something that would cause injury.
Saying that, Sadie suddenly had a startled expression, as if she remembered something. I didn't miss it. Seems like you have a clue. You treated me like trash, but your actions are unforgivable as a human being. Sadie looked hurt by my words and muttered an apology in a small voice. Afterwards, Sadie, who was taken to the police, initially denied and resisted, but with various evidence on the smartphone, she admitted to all her actions and was arrested for assault. As expected, she was found guilty in court, with a suspended sentence. When I went to the court to see the verdict, Sadie's once beautiful jet black hair was unkempt and messy, losing its shine. There was hardly a trace of the wonderful figure I felt when we first met. After being released, there was Asami seeking help from other volunteers at the soup kitchen, where I was volunteering.
I have no place to live, can't find a job, and I don't know what to do. People around here won't accept me.
Scorned life turned Sadie into a person in need. If the reason for her arrest was harassment against the economically disadvantaged, she wouldn't be accepted anywhere she went. The incident where one gets what one deserves resonated so strongly was an experience unlike any other I've had in my entire life. On the other hand, I continue to dedicate myself to volunteering, leading fulfilling days. In the midst of these days, my grandchild was born. I learned that my flip phone couldn't support video calls, so I'm learning how to use a smartphone with Edward. Surprisingly, it's quite easy to use, and I've discovered that the internet and social media are convenient and enjoyable. Living in the era known as 100-year life, my goal is to stay healthy and live for more years, embracing my great-grandchildren in my arms.